Well, hello again, everyone. So if I get this right this time, I've tried to do this video a couple times. Welcome to the channel. It's Dr. Sasheen. A Life in Transition is the channel. And if you're new here, hello. If you are a subscriber, thank you for your patience as we build this new channel and we talk about what it means to be a woman in her 50s or whatever age you are, going through life's transitions, big ones, small ones, currently folding napkins. And what to do in that. So it's been a really tough week. And as much as I want to vent and talk about all of the changes that come along with, I had a birthday this month. I have a birthday this month. It's June. And I'm dealing, life throws you so many curveballs. But I was having a conversation that sparked a thought that I'd like to share with you. So settle in, grab some tea, something to drink, and let's have a chit chat for a few minutes. A lot of us in our Gen X generation years have reached a place where we've seen an economy crash before. Like we lived through the 2008, 2009 Great Recession. So we've seen the economy crash before. And we see the warning signs of what's happening now. We're not foolish or stupid, even though there's a huge disconnect in what people think is happening, what's actually happening. But we've also seen what happens in the aftermath and how communities and people and societies pull together to create something new after the hard. And as women whose life is in transition, it's hard, right? Our personal economies are crashing along with the global ones. Our personal economies might be crashing. And when I say economies, I am not just talking about the monetary economies. I'm also talking about the social economies. I'm talking about the cultural economies, talking about the social currency that holds and stitches our lives together on so many levels that we don't think about until those economies start to crash. And the reality is the loneliness epidemic that gets talked about and the rise in isolationism and things of that nature is a collapse of the social economy, right? But in our personal lives, it's also a collapse in our personal economy. So monetary economy, physical economy, social economy, personal economy. So I want to talk to you about your personal economy. I want to talk to you about it in relation to AI, which I know this is going to sound strange, but just bear with me, okay? Just bear with me. And if you like what you hear, hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to support, buy me a cup of coffee. Link is in the description. So our personal economy, man, if you're a Gen Xer, if you're a Gen X woman, you're looking around the landscape of the world and you're like, that again, daggone it. Handed y'all some pretty decent keys after that last Great Recession, and here we are again. Okay. As a Gen Xer, we know how to get by with a little and turn it into a lot. Stretch a dollar until it screams. Like we learned that from our boomer parents, actually, because they lived through some pretty lean times as well. And so for as much as we castigate the boomers for what they didn't do, they did teach the Gen X and the millennials, and their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, how to stretch a dime into a dollar and keep stretching it into $1.50 if you had to, right? And so as we think about our personal economies of scale right now, a lot of our personal economies are suffering. Our bodies are doing crazy things. Like I've never had dark circles under my eyes, but thank you, perimenopause. Our bodies are doing crazy things. The economy has taken some of our jobs away. It's taken some of our nest eggs away. The price of everything going up is eaten into our nest eggs. Even if we do have a job, it's just more expensive in our personal life to live the way that we thought we could live based on the promises that we were told as kids growing up, when it was everybody can achieve this if you just work hard and save your money and blah, 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 right? And then along comes somebody to crash the economy, and here we are. But when those personal economies start to falter, we look for community. And in some ways, social media has allowed us to think we're in community. And as Gen Xers, we like new things. Like we are the only generation that can say that we've lived between technological dynasties, pre-internet, post-internet. And I throw social media in there as well, and into post-internet. But we have lived on the cusp. Like if you think about going up a mountain, we came up one side in all of these pivotal time frames, and then we crested and we found this thing called DARPA, which turned into the internet, and now we're coming down that slope. And as with all mountain ranges, we came down a little bit and then we started to climb again because there was this new thing that I introduced called social media. But for those of us who hit that first crescendo, the one that said, this is life before the internet and this is life after the internet, we have a very unique perspective, because we know what it's like to have not, and then to have, and oh boy, everything that came along with that. And so as we look at ourselves and we try to figure out how to navigate what will go down in history as a crucial time period, no matter where you're standing, it's going to always be remembered as an interesting time period when America went through a great awakening. You might be asking yourself, like, how do I navigate this? Because the old rules don't necessarily apply. And by old rules, I mean the post-internet rules. So a lot of us who went over that divide, crossed over the threshold into the the pre-internet world and then the post-internet world, understood that our navigating of the two it was gonna have to be different. And it was gonna have to be different enough for us to survive it and thrive in it, right? Well, then into the internet came a lot of different things that our old skills actually prepared us pretty well for. We're great organizers, we're good administrators, we know how to spot the lion amongst the zebras. In other words, we know how to spot the trouble before it becomes trouble and get out of the way. We're pretty good at organizing people, places, and things and stuff. We're halfway decent with money. Some of us are better, some of us are worse. But we have a lot of really useful skill sets that have carried us through all the way up to this moment. Now we're talking about pre-AI and post-AI. And so as you're thinking about your own personal economy and how you can navigate this new reality, I want you to take a step back. I think it's time a lot of us just took a step back and ask yourself, not how can I navigate what is becoming an increasingly automated world full of, we've always had automation, but full of artificial intelligence. But what does this do for me in a way that enhances my life without taking from me that which makes me human? Because the thing about being pre-internet and post-internet babies is that the one thing that we understood about the internet is that it wasn't going to come along and take anything from us. I mean, it's still our attention spans, social media, thank you for that. But even before the real rise of short social media, fast social media, we were already losing our attention spans to the internet. But it wasn't quite as bad until we got to social media. But my point is, even when it was pre-internet and post-internet, we understood that the internet itself, that thing called the internet, even though it became everything and sometimes it became nothing, wasn't necessarily going to steal from us in ways that could, in fact, hurt us. Now, you can argue that it's still our attention, it's still our time, it's still our families, and the rise of the influencer, all that. Post-internet, up hills, up mountains, down mountains, up mountains, down mountains, still post-internet. But AI is going to change that playing field, right? And I think as women of a certain age who've lived through a lot of things, you might be struggling with, what do I do with this thing? How does this fit in? How do I fit into this brave new world? Thank you, Aldous Huxley. How do I fit into this brave new world? And then what does it look like for me to thrive in all of my economies, physical, personal, health, monetary, while at the same time protecting the other people's economies around me? And this is not a conversation that's easy to have, because the yell of technology is always, it might be bad, but it will eventually be, it might be bad, but it will eventually be good. It will eventually be, just hang in there, right? Just let it happen and it will eventually be good. Well, y'all, we know that's not true. If you've lived long enough, you've seen that not all technology is good technology. You know that long scale X has now led to Y. Your personal economy cannot stand on a bankrupt ground, right? It can't stand on a bankrupt ground. Your personal economy can't stand on your personal life being bankrupt. Your moral economy can't stand on your morals being bankrupt. Your monetary economy, the money system that upholds you, can't stand on if the monetary system is corrupt, right? We've watched whole countries fall apart because their version of a dollar became worthless. And so as we think about how to navigate what we are now going to be calling pre-AI and post-AI, you have to ask yourself where you intend to step into the economy, the AI economy, and whether or not you can do it without going bankrupt in so many different ways. So many different ways. I teach in higher education. It's my side gig, and it's my full-time job. And it's scary how quickly some have adopted this idea of having an intelligence think for you, even though the intelligence is not as smart as you. You are of the age where the intelligence in your head is so valuable that people are paying other people, companies are paying people to try and figure out what's in our heads. Right? That's what data scraping is. It's scraping the internet, looking and searching and culminating and culling this information that's coming out of us. Things that make us unique and wonderful and special. And it might be really tempting to go, well, maybe it's just easier if I just, engage in things that I don't really want to. I know how to survive, and this is just a moment to survive. And I'm going to tell you that I don't think this is the time when Gen X just should roll over into survival mode. I think that as a woman whose life is probably in a fair amount of transition, even if it's just the physical, you owe it to yourself to not allow other systems that may be bankrupt to impact your systems. And that can be tough because, let's face it, we're all tied together now. And so as goes the larger society, so goes us, so goes we. But I do think that you have to you have to take a stand in your own life on where you're going to stand, and you need to stand there. We are living in such unprecedented times. That's why I started with pre-internet, post-internet, because that's probably the biggest moment where I can, in my living history, right? I'm obviously only so old, but in my living history, pre-internet and post-internet is pivotal. It is crucial for who I am as a person. If that moment in time had never happened, lives would look completely different right now. If DARPA had never become the internet, we would look completely different right now. And I think the same thing is going to be said about AI in about 30 years, if not sooner. Life before the wholesale adoption of generative AI out into the world en masse, pre-AI, post-AI. And it's important for you to recognize it's happening, number one, but number two, to realize that the skills and the survival that you've always done, because we've always known that nothing was necessarily out to get rid of us, even though it was not necessarily making our lives great. Those skills aren't going to work right now. If your life is going to look different in a decade, and you better start thinking about what that's supposed to look like. In 5 years, at the pace of adoption of certain things, in 5 years, I'll give it 3 years, you're never going to call a bank and talk to a person anymore. There isn't going to be a person to talk to. There simply isn't. You see that now, right? And so if you're okay with that, then your life is going to look a certain way for the next 3 years. The adoption of certain things is going to feel natural and normal and okay and good for you. But if you're not okay with that, and you feel like your life can't reflect an acceptance of certain things that you just don't want, then you got to figure out how you're going to live in what is going to become the next great shift in society. You know how to do this, but you've never lived in this moment before. You know how to do this, but you may never have had to take a stand and say, I don't want to live in this next moment. I want to live in the world, but I don't want to have to live in this moment's world view, right? The world belongs to me. but I don't have to accept this thing over here. And you may never have had to do that. You may have never felt like you could push back against. I mean, I know people push back against the idea of the internet, right? The World Wide Web. What was that weird thing? What are you going to do out there? There's nothing out there. And here we are. So you never know what's going to happen with the advent of the next age. And we are at the cusp of the next age. But what you do know is who you are. And it is about time. It is high time. Nay, it is imperative that you decide where you're going to stand in the next 18 months to 2 years. I am not an alarmist, but I do believe that things like, there was a book out a long time ago called The Long Emergency. I do think, and it was not about technology, it was about fossil fuels. Imagine that. I do think that Gen X is well positioned to figure out how to navigate a world that doesn't rely on someone else thinking for us, because we were the generation freely thinking, making our mistakes. We are currently in our 40s, 50s, early 60s, still the same generation of free thinkers, making our own mistakes and being damn sure we were not going to hand over the keys to our personal kingdoms to anybody. And as your life transitions in this pivotal age from one significant time frame to another, pre-AI, post-AI, you got to ask yourself, what are the keys to my kingdom that I'm unwilling to give away? What are the doors I refuse to open so that someone can come in and scrape my life and put it in a database somewhere to be then regurgitated for somebody else's use with no thought to how it feels to me? Where is my line in the sand? And what does that line need to look like? This is what you're hearing. It's my basket for my napkins. They go in here like this. Oh, excuse me. They go in here like this. And that line, those keys in that line is something I don't think that you can delay on what that needs to look like. So like I said, this is going to be short, and I wasn't quite sure where I was going to go with it, but as I was having this conversation with this person, I realized that the person I was talking to and I came down on two very opposite sides of this divide. And so, but we both agreed that this is the moment. Like, we are at the top of the ridge on this mountain again. And the last time we were here, the life before the internet was on this side and life after the internet was on this side. And we're here now with AI. Life before AI is on this side. Yes, I know it's been around a little bit in some form, but this is different, and y'all know it's different. So don't get into my comments talking all this nutso stuff about, well, it's always better. Your emails that you and I both know that automated algorithmic checking of grammar is wildly different than asking a ChatGPT to write a book for you, or write your project reports, or your legal briefs. So, as I was saying, we come down differently on what's happening in terms of the good or the bad. But what we agreed upon was that we are standing at that ridge, pre, post, and we're coming over. Some of us see this as a beautiful thing, the dawning of a brand new day. Some of us see the dawn and they see the clouds behind it. Because remember, we've got some experience here about how things that weren't designed to necessarily take from you and make your life data could be used against you. Imagine something that knows how to take your life from you, whether you like it or not, and use it as data. Imagine what that can do. So though we come down on different sides of this in terms of perspective, we agree that people need to decide how they're going to fall along this, on which side of this ridge are they going to stand. Because it is going to become a line. And it's going to become a line that gets harder and harder to see as more and more AI finds its way into systems that you don't even care about, but that are so integral to your life that if they were gone, you'd miss them. What does that look like for you? And I have a very kind of personality when it comes to certain things. You can ask my mother. She used to call me They used to call me the militant midget when I was in school. I was the shortest one in my friend group, and I was always championing something that I felt like needed to be brought to the attention of the administration, some student who I felt like wasn't being treated fairly, and I'm talking to the teachers. I was always championing something. And this is one of those moments where I feel like my life is in a significant transition. All of my economies are at play. All of your economies are at play. What are you going to fight for? Because the time to not fight has passed. The time to sit on the sidelines and see what's going to happen, that's over. That's over. So your political economy, personal economy, health economy, monetary economy, moral economy, relational economy, social economy, personal economy. All the economies of your life are now being impacted by a technology you didn't see coming. What are you going to do about it? What's your next step? How do you intend to live in a world that may not even value what you thought the world would value anymore? Not easy questions to answer, and I am not a soothsayer. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I can tell you this. You have to make a plan. And the plans that you had to navigate life when the internet was a new thing and we were all trying to figure out what to do with this thing because we were young and excited, those plans may not work the same anymore. But your grit is still there. Your mindfulness of who you are in the world is still there. Your compassion is still there. Your belief in yourself and the people who you love, that's still there. Start there. Start there. Start with your personal economy and work out. Start with the family and friends and ask them the hard questions like, what is life going to look like? And what should we be doing to make sure that our personal economy continues to flourish in a world that may only see us as pieces on a chessboard, or worse, commodities on some gambling site? Oh, don't even get me started. I don't want to leave you in the doldrums. I want to leave you with hope. And that's why I said your grit, your compassion, your mindfulness, your empathy, your sympathy, your intelligence, those things are inside of you, and they can't be removed from you voluntarily. So I'm going to encourage you to take some of your life offline. Get back to pen and paper, and don't sink everything into the cloud. If you are wanting to protect parts of you that make you who you are, the parts that run the world, because ingenuity and creativity don't come from computers. Computers simply repeat. Humans create. If you want to continue to feel what you feel when you are doing the thing that you love, find a way to do it so that it's still uniquely yours. And especially at this time in your life, if you're my age and your life is kind of in transition and you're looking forward at what you're going to get into and the things that you're starting and you're hoping to accomplish, and you realize there are so many things yet to come out of here, I'm not about to let something take it out of there and use it in a way that I don't want it to. Okay, so somebody's gonna be in their feelings about this because I've been getting it for a few weeks now, and that's okay. You're welcome to make your own video. But if you see yourself in this message, drop me a note and tell me, how do you feel right now? Are you anxious? Are you nervous? Are you worried? Are you hopeful? Are you excited? Do you see the dawning of the coming age as what mankind has always needed and that we're going to be fine? Or do you see yourself going, I don't know how this doesn't ring every alarm bell that everybody has 10 times over? Or are you somewhere in the middle? You're not sure, and you're going to stand on the ridge until you get more information. Where are you? Let me know. And again, if you like the video, hit like, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back again. And if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, you've got the link. Also, if you are anxious, because it's an anxiety producing time, the link to my book, The Anxiety Solution, is also in the comments. Take care of yourself. Hug someone who you see as who you know sees you as human. And most importantly, hug yourself. Take care. Bye.